So this one is a little bit more of a impromptu Halloween video. I needed one more to fill out something, and I decided to go with I'm just going to read a story today. Just kind of one of my more, it is a Cinderella story, and as you can tell by the title card or so, it is going to be Cinderella Skeleton. Better look at that. There we go. I do very much love this book. I think I've mentioned before that I have lots and lots of different Cinderella type books that are, Cinderella from told from different perspectives of the same type of a story of I have one that's like a Native American version. I have one that's like a more Middle Eastern version, ones that are kind of African versions. Now, I don't 100% know if those books are all just taking the concept of Cinderella and putting it into that context with some more cultural differences shifting around here and there. I'm not sure about that. I know that the concept of that Cinderella story of going from one level to the next, the kind of the good karma version of it, you're a good person, you're kind, you're sweet, you're gentle, you kind of put others first and such. And that then would pay off the fact of, oh, you're the one that gets the big payoff at the end. That's kind of a little bit of the concept for the Cinderella story of someone who goes through suffering and then gets gets the big payoff at the end. They're the one that gets the prince, or the duke, or the king, or the the god in certain circumstances, depending on which story it's coming from. I've also have a few that are kind of like Beauty and the Beast, same type of idea, that are kind of fun. But this one is kind of a more Halloween-esque type one, and I just really like this story, and I know that there's other people that have read the same story, just on YouTube or stuff like that, or have audio books of it, I guess. But I just kind of wanted to do it myself, and I'll read it and I'll point out a few things in it as I go along. And I just kind of wanted to pull out the mask because I haven't really worn a mask for really any of the videos right now. And this is just a pretty butterfly one that I have, but it's a little bit uncomfortable, so it's actually going to come off. There we go. There. You go there. So let's read Cinderella Skeleton by Robert D. Soutsey, I apologize if I mispronounce that, and illustrated by David Catrow. We already get the concept of what she looks like, tattered dress, she's a skeleton, obviously. So, and I'm not going to hold the book up every time, but I have some pages already taken pictures of. Cinderella Skeleton dwelt in beyond acres near the wood. Third mausoleum on the right, decaying, decrepit, what a fright. On the door, a withered wreath invited guests to rest in peace. It was the pride of the neighborhood. So obviously with this already, we're getting the concept of instead of it living in a giant mansion, they live in a mausoleum, which of course makes sense for a skeleton. That seems to be the most common place they would want to live. And we see Cinderella here. She has a little three-eyed spider friend, and she doesn't look very happy. She looks rather sad. Cinderella Skeleton was everything a ghoul should be. Her build was long and lean and lank. Her dankish hair hung down in hanks. Her nails were yellow. Her teeth were green. The ghastliest haunt you've ever seen. Foulest in the land was she. Cinderella's skeleton stepsisters treated her with scorn. Griselin was small and mean, and firmly packed with spite and spleen, while tall bony Jane, a scatterbrain, was just as vile and twice as vain. They worked Cinderella from dusk till morn. Cinderella Skeleton, it seemed her tasks were never done. She hung up cobwebs every place, arranged dead flowers in a vase, littered the floor with dust and leaves, fed the bats beneath the eaves. She had no time for rest or fun. So, it's the same concept of oh, she's this concept of what would be the most beautiful. Well, in our world, considered she's one of the more beautiful one of the most beautiful ones, and in this world, she's one of the ones that would be like, this is exactly what like a ghost or a skeleton should be and everything. And we have the stepsisters and the mother, and the very tall, ugly. They're all mean and horrible to her and everything. And instead of cleaning everything, she's supposed to make everything dirtier. Cinderella Skeleton stepsisters dressed in fancy clothes, but she had only hand-me-downs, the others torn and tattered gowns. Her shoes had worn out tops and soles. In fact, they were so full of holes, they showed off all her bony toes. Cinderella Skeleton asked for help with household chores, but stepmother Screech began to shout, "You're lucky I don't throw you out. My girls are gems, you're common clay. How dare you even think that they should streak the windows or strewn the floors?" So again, of course, same concept, evil stepmother, the stepsisters don't do anything, they all mistreat Cinderella. We see down here Cinderella helping the smaller one, I don't care what their names are, try on different shoes, and of course, this one's just wearing an ugly sweater. And neither of them look particularly nice. Neither does the stepmother, in all honesty. Cinderella Skeleton, or disappointment, lay ahead. Prince Charnel summoned one and all to his frightfully famous Halloween ball. When Cinderella begged to go, her stepmother sneered and told her, "No, you shall stay at home and work instead." Cinderella Skeleton watched the others leave in a hearse, Screech in mournful bombazine, her girls in mid-dew green satin. Then Cinderella made her vow, "I'll get to the prince's ball somehow. I'm taking action for better or worse." She looks so sad that she doesn't get to go. I'm like, yes, because a hearse is the exact way that you want to go to a ball in. I mean, if you're a skeleton, yeah, I guess. So yeah, that's fun. Cinderella Skeleton, off she marched without delay, to the good witch in the wood beyond, who cast kind spells with a generous wand. The witch heard Cinderella's plea, then nodded, saying, "Bring me some things I need, and right away." Cinderella Skeleton located what the witch required: a jack-o'-lantern fiery-eyed, 6 rats in a trap held locked inside, 2 bats asleep in wings wrapped tight, a cat as black as moonless night, exactly as the witch desired. So we still have the same common elements, of course, that are in a Cinderella fairy tale. She still goes to a witch. She still has, there's still mice involved and a cat involved. And, a pumpkin involved with this. The bats are a little bit different. But, we've still got some of those same elements, of course. And instead of it just being a regular pumpkin, it's, of course, a jack-o'-lantern, which I love. Cinderella Skeleton saw witch touch wand, tap, tap. To all, the pumpkin turned to funeral wagon, the rats to nightmares, part horse, part dragon, the bats to footmen at the ready, the cat to driver holding steady, and steeds who'd speed her to the ball. "Cinderella Skeleton," the witch exclaimed, "you need new clothes." Her wand flashed magic to replace Cinderella's rags with a gown of lace, trimmed in silky ribbons and bows. With each worn shoe that showed her toes became a slipper with a satin bow. Cinderella Skeleton was eager to be on her way, but the good witch said, "Before you go, there is one important thing to know. You must return before the morning. If you fail to heed my warning, your joy will fade at the break of day." Again, same concept, new clothes, new, coachmen, footmen, all that fun stuff that, of course, comes along with it. Plus, she has weird horse dragons to help take her to the ball, which sounds really interesting. And, of course, she has her beautiful new dress, which I love that concept, that dress of just lace and like it looks very spider webby and such like that, which of course, why wouldn't a skeleton want to dress in spider webs? That makes sense. And of course, instead of the midnight warning, it's of course daybreak because midnight wouldn't scare a skeleton. It would have to be morning, dawn. Cinderella Skeleton reached the ball and caused a stir. The guests all turned to stare at where she stood at the top of the palace stair. As she swept down, she heard the buzz of everyone wondering who she was. Then Prince Charnel bowed to her. Can we just point out the fact of how big her frickin' dragons are? Again, he's not living in like a nice, cute little castle. It's a big, frickin' scary looking castle. Cinderella Skeleton heard Charnel say, "Your beauty burns like bonfires ablaze at night. Your brightness fills me with delight. Dance with me, lady, I implore." She smiled and he led her to the floor, where they waltzed with graceful dips and turns. Cinderella Skeleton gazed into Charnel's eyes, was so in love she was unaware of each hateful murmur and baleful stare that Screech, Bony Jane, and Grislin aimed at the lovers' tender scene. She danced till dawn first lit the skies. I want to point out, he has like a poisonous snake hanging on him. I just always find that funny. He's like got like a very poisonous snake holding on to him. So it's either a milk snake or a coin snake. I can never remember which one's the venomous one. I just always remember the line, red next to black, friend to Jack, red next to yellow, kill a fellow. So this one would actually be the non-poisonous one because it's red next to black. But just don't let a snake bite you anyway, no matter where you are. Cinderella Skeleton recalled too late the witch's warning. She broke from Charnel's dear embrace and hurried to escape the palace. Charnel cried, "You are my answered prayer," but Cinderella fled down the stair, distressed how near it was to morning. Cinderella Skeleton, her haste, as haste will, brought mishap, as she ran for her waiting carriage, pursuing Prince shouting offers of marriage. She stumbled once, giving Charnel time to grab her foot and cry, "You're mine!" Then off her foot came with a snap. So, again, she runs off, and instead of leaving just a slipper, she leaves a whole foot, which, in normal circumstances for Cinderella, would be extremely morbid. But, in the case of this, it's still disturbing, just not as bad. Still disturbing, just not as bad. Cinderella Skeleton, ignoring the thump of her footless stump, reached her coach and cried, "Away, I must be home by break of day." They raced pell-mell past the palace gate. The prince kept pleading, "Lady, wait!" In his hand a foot, in his throat a lump. Skeleton Cinderella, through near dawn her nightmares spread, by morning caught them in mid-flight. Coach shrank to pumpkin in the light. Cat, rats, and bats skitter flitted away. Ragged and limping she faced the day, her heart still full, though the magic had fled. She looks so sad again, and the cat's like, "What the frick happened?" Again, I agree with the cat. What happened? Why was I a human? Cinderella Skeleton, her life grew day by day more grim. Her family worked her without rest. They knew Prince Charnel's mystery guest. She dredged up halfway through some chore. She dreamed she was on a dance floor as Charnel asked her to waltz with him. Cinderella Skeleton, her image filled the prince's mind. His days and nights turned to a blur, whirling round memories of her. So lovelorn, Charnel vowed, "I'll start a search for the one who stole my heart. She must be somewhere I can find." Cinderella Skeleton, until I find you, I will not rest, vowed Charnel, who travelled every place, with her slippered foot in a velvet case. But no one, duchess, milkmaid, crone, could match foot bone to ankle bone. Each snapped a foot off for the test. Couple of things. The prince is riding a bike, which I find hilarious. I just always find that funny. It's like, I have a bike instead of like a coachman and carriage to take it wherever he wants to go. I has bike. You know, he's got to keep his leg muscles strong. Well, muscles, not so much. Bones, yes. And the concept of, oh my god, if I snap off my foot, I can be a princess. Ow. And no. That's a reference to something, I'm pretty sure, but we'll get to that in a minute. Cinderella Skeleton locked up when Charnel came to call, Screech pulling her girl's feet off. 1, 2, saying, wire or glue, you're good as new. Surely it's worth this slight distress for the chance to be a true princess. Now hurry, the prince is in the hall. Cinderella Skeleton picked the lock with a longish pin. She heard Charnel's voice, his gentle tones, drowned by her stepsister's wails and moans. Bony Jane's ankle was too large and thick, and Grinceland's thin as a withered stick. Then Cinderella came limping in. Okay, so in the original version of the Grimm's fairy tale, when the prince shows up to try the slipper on the sisters, the stepmother cuts off parts of their feet, like toes or parts of their heel or whatever, in order to try to get it to fit in the slipper. And, of course, the prince or the duke or whoever it is that's bringing the slipper around to try it on the different people, you know, notices when they put on the slipper, okay, first it fits, and then he notices all the blood. And then that just leads to the next one. So, yeah, no, that's not fun. And yeah, it's just like, apparently they don't have DNA tests in this world, or, you know, bone marrow tests, because then they could try to find it that it was Cinderella Skeleton that way. But I highly doubt that they have the technology for that. Cinderella Skeleton, while everybody stared wide-eyed, she bowed to Charnel with this request. Please let me take your marriage test. Her foot bone snapped on and held fast. Charnel shouted, a match, at last! Here is my promised princess bride. Cinderella Skeleton, the rarest gem the world had seen, her gleaming skull and burnished bones, her teeth like polished kidney stones, her dankish silks and dankish hair, her dampish silks and dankish hair. There is nothing like you anywhere. You make every day a Halloween. So obviously the slipper fits, and he ties it on with a bow to hold it in place, which is just funny. And we see the stepsisters and the stepmother in the background after they've like taped their feet back on. Why didn't this work? Why is it hurt? Why is it hurt? Which I just find so funny. And it's just like all these compliments that he throws at her. Your dankish skin and burnished bones. Your teeth are just like kidney stones. And we see the little spider up in the corner who's just happy for Cinderella, which I love. Cinderella Skeleton soon was married to her prince, and they stayed happily ever after, their kingdom filled with love and laughter. Screech, Gristlin, and Bony Jane just shriveled with envy and shrank to dust, and no one's seen or missed them since. Yeah, in the original Cinderella fairy tale for Grimm Brothers, after Cinderella goes off with the prince, a bunch of birds peck out the stepsister's eyes. So not only do they have cut up feet now, they have pecked out eyes. In some cases they die, in other cases they flee, depending on the story. But I've always loved the image of them against the moon. I just, you know, coming out of the clouds, I just always found that so pretty. And then the final page is just, you know, a picture of like a sunflower, or not a sunflower, like a a daisy or so that's getting ready to bloom. So just a short little thing. I mean, it throws in references to, of course, the Grimm Brothers stuff, which I would say is possibly a little tad closer to the Grimm Brothers version with the, snapping of the feet in regards to, chopping off parts of your own foot or different things like that. And, she still gets her prince in the end and everything, and they live happily ever after. And can we point out the fact that she has a flower that's growing out of the top of her head, which I just find adorable? That's just fun. I just find that so funny. I don't know why, but I just find that so cute. So that's just what I have here. Just, Cinderella Skeleton, just another various cute fairy tale that I have. I may do something where I read some other fairy tale books that I have or something, but I'm not sure. The way that this is set to go up in regards to the rest of the Halloween-esque type, videos. There's still a couple of more. The one that'll be on Halloween, of course, will be The Nightmare Before Christmas. And then I have the two that are for my Day of the Dead type stuff. So, shorter video. So I thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a nice rest of your day. And happy Halloween. Bye.